This letter is addressed to Annie. Annie Chapman, perhaps? It speaks of finding someone to help them with the Nichols gang. Signed Mary Kay. Do you have any idea who that might be? And do you know if Chapman owed the Nichols gang money?
Yes, officer. That would likely be Mary Kelly. Her and Annie were friends. As for the Nichols gang, most of the working girls around these parts owed them money. Do you think the gang murdered Annie?
Couldn't say for sure, although these certainly don't seem to be gang killings to me. Can you tell me any places where Chapman would go regularly?
Aye, she could regularly be found in the old Ten Bells pub looking for customers, sir. Either that or drinking herself senseless with the money she'd made that night.
Tell me, did Annie Chapman ever drink here?
Aye, officer. Came here most nights, touting for business mainly, her and her female friends, Nichols, Eddowes and Kelly.
Nichols? You mean Mary Ann Nichols? She was friends with Chapman.
Oh, yes, sir. Polly. That's what Nichols was called around here. She and old Annie Chapman were thick as thieves. Old friends they were. Terrible what happened to them. Papers are saying it was Leather Apron, some bloke called Pizer. Is that right, officer?
Can't comment on an ongoing investigation. Do you mind if I look around a while?
Not at all. Go ahead.
I have a letter to Mary Kelly from someone named Walter. Do you know who that might be?
Sure, he is a local artist, Walter Sickert. Often painted some of the girls he did. Used to come in a lot with his gentleman friend.
Gentleman friend?
Yeah, proper posh gent he was. We used to call him Bertie. Never knew his full name. Had a fancy for a young friend of Kelly's, Annie Crook, I believe her name was. Went on to wed her in the church over the road, so I hear. Come to think of it, haven't seen him or her round here for weeks.
Someone named Annie Crook was married here. And there's that name again, Walter Sickert, the best man. Sickert's address. It's just along the street from the 10 Bells. Guess I'd better check him out. So, this is Sickert's place. Looks like no one's at home. Makes it even easier for me to snoop around his studio a little. Seems there may be more than I thought to this Annie Crook story. QV. QV. I wonder who or what this refers to. It's all sounding very sinister. There is definitely something not right here. Blackmail? Just what was going on here? Just what was Sickert involved in?
Excuse me, who are you and what are you doing breaking into my art studio?
Inspector Eberlein of Scotland Yard. I'm investigating the recent Whitechapel murders. Perhaps I could ask you what your relationship with Annie Chapman and Mary Kelly was.
Oh, mere acquaintances of mine from drinking in the 10 Bells. And sometimes they would pose for paintings for me to earn them a few extra pennies. There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
I think you know more about these women and their murders than you're telling me. For example, how do you explain this detailed entry in your diary? And the letters from Miss Kelly?
Oh, that whole thing was an unfortunate mess. A dear friend of mine was indeed wed to young Annie Crook, but I fear poor Annie was not of sound mind. The marriage fell apart, and I believe she was taken to a mental home. I fear it was all too much for poor Mary, and she's been inventing crazy stories about the whole affair ever since.
There is definitely something fishy with our Mr. Sickett. I don't know how, or if he's linked with these murders, but something very odd is going on between him and that Mary Kelly. Guess I'd better put together the case notes for Annie Chapman.
Dagnabbit! How does someone get hold of this story before me? If this really is the Whitechapel murderer, then I must get in on the story before it's too late. They say Pizer worked down on the London docks, came in on one of the ships with the other Polish immigrants. I'll head down there to see if I can find out any more on this so-called leather apron. Okay, so here I am at the London docks. I'll see if I can get on board this ship to look for some information on our Mr. Pizer. interesting to see the ship's manifest shows both Pizer and a George Chapman arriving on the same ship. But there's nothing here to tie either of them to the recent murders. I'm going to need something more sensational for my story. Seems the story on Pizer is going nowhere. I really need to come up with something sensational, or my editor will never promote me. What I really need is a letter from the Whitechapel murderer to publish. That would get me a great story, but unfortunately there hasn't been one yet. Or has there? Morning, sir. A guy from the Star dropped off a letter earlier. Figures it's from the Whitechapel killer himself.
Dear boss. Hard to say if the letter's genuine, but one thing's for sure, the newspapers are going to dine out on this one.
Yes, sir. And it has a bit of a ring to it, don't you think? Oh, I almost forgot. The coroner has the preliminary report ready for you. And he's expecting you down at the mortuary.
Thanks, officer. I'll get down there right away. I hear you have an autopsy report for me.
Ah, yes, Inspector. It's around here somewhere. Some of the various victims' belongings are also here, and they may help you in your investigation. Good, you found it then. Incidentally, I believe the killer must be very familiar with using sharp instruments, otherwise he couldn't have removed a human's organs with such precision.
Thank you for your findings. By the way, are you able to say with any certainty what sort of weapon was used in the attacks?
From the angle and nature of the wounds, they must have been made with a long, thin blade, such as a surgeon's knife. The London hospital is just along the road, and you should be able to get more information on the type of blade I think was used.
This is the operating theatre in the London hospital. I should be able to find out more on the type of knife that the coroner was describing. This knife case has the symbol for the Freemasons engraved into it. Unfortunately, it's empty, but the knives should be around here somewhere. Just need to find them. Presumably, these knives fit into this box, but I think they're meant to be placed in a specific order. Gosh, the knife from the secret compartment has the same symbol as I found at the last 2 murder scenes on it. I wonder what it means. The card I found in the box was from a Dr. William Gull, physician in ordinary to Her Majesty Queen Victoria. Maybe he can help shed some light on this symbol.
Yes? How may I help you?
Dr. Gull? Good day, sir, and sorry to trouble you. I'm Inspector Eberlein from Scotland Yard, investigating the recent murders in Whitechapel, and I was wondering if you might be able to help me with my inquiries. I just need to ask you a few questions about the nature of the attacks and the weapons used, if that's okay.
Certainly. Inspector, do come in. Everything okay, Inspector? You said you had some questions for me. How may I help you?
I found your card in a set of knives at the Royal London Hospital. The knives match the type that it is believed to have been used by the killer. Are these your knives, Dr. Gull?
Indeed they are, Inspector. A set of surgical scalpels, just like any that a good surgeon would possess. It may interest you to know that an identical set was stolen from my surgery just a few months ago.
And the last thing, there is an unusual symbol engraved on one of the knives. The same symbol I found on one of your shelves over there. Does it have a special meaning?
Ah, you mean the sign of Ophiuchus. It's an old astrological symbol. The ancient Greeks associated it with a great healer named Asclepius. To this day, it's often used to symbolize the medical profession.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you, Dr. Gull. You've been a great help. Good day to you.
My nightmares are getting worse. That figure I saw, it has to be Jack the Ripper. It's what all the newspapers are calling the fiend I keep seeing. My vision is clouding again. Got to focus to clear my mind. That's it. I can see clearly now. Magic symbols all over the place. Whatever dark magic this Ripper is using, it appears to be getting stronger. Whoa! What just happened? Another murder? Oh my God. Is he going to kill two in one night? I must stop him. The answer lies somewhere in my visions. I did it. I broke through his magical barrier. There he is, Jack the Ripper. No, he's escaping and my vision is clouding again. I must focus harder. I need to see the face of the Ripper. That face! I know that face! No. No, it can't be. Not him. It can't be him. I must do something to stop this. That image in my vision, the cartwheel, I know where that is. It's near old Dutfield's yard. Got to go and see if there are any signs. Here we are in Burner Street, and there. That's the cartwheel I saw in the vision. Dutfield's yard is behind those gates. This is where I saw the body in my vision. I can see it now. In my head, it's all becoming clearer. This is definitely where the next woman will be murdered. I really do have to convince Inspector Eberlein of the accuracy of my visions. If I can prove to him they are reliable, perhaps he can prevent these new murders taking place. The station is deserted. Where is everyone? Perhaps I can get into the inspector's office and take a look at his investigation to see if it ties in with any of my visions. It feels wrong to be breaking into the inspector's office, but I can't just stand around and do nothing. Let's see what I can find.
Ms. DeVille, how did you get in? And what, may I ask, are you doing in my office?
Inspector, forgive me, but I'm certain I can help you solve the Jack the Ripper case. The symbol you keep finding at the murder scenes is a powerful magical symbol. I believe the killer is killing these women to obtain a great and terrible power.
Visions, dreams, magic. I'm sorry, Ma'am, but I really don't have time for all this mumbo-jumbo. I have a murderer to catch. Unless you have some solid evidence, then I suggest you leave.
But Inspector, I am absolutely certain where he will strike next. Dutfield's Yard. And there will be another killing in the same night. He is escalating his attacks and is building up to a final powerful spell. 13. 13 is the key to all this somehow. It will all end at 13.
13? What are you talking about? You're becoming ridiculous. Please leave. I have work to do.
He has struck again, sir. Jack the Ripper. And he has killed 2 women this time. One in Mitre Square and one in...
Don't tell me. One in Dutfield's Yard, right?
Why, yes, sir. That's right. How did you know that?
Darn it. She was right. Never mind, officer. We'll just call it a hunch, shall we? Let's head over to the crime scenes and see if we can find anything new.